Are you looking to generate generational time, wealth, and freedom with the power of physical products to build your empire or retire? Hi, my name is Neil Twa, and I'm the CEO of Voltage Holdings. And for the next about 35 minutes, Brett and I are going to go through the 4 major breaks that all sellers need to make to build a business with the end in mind that's worth more in the end than at any time during the business building phase. So over the next 35 minutes, we're going to go through those 4 topics. We're going to break down this generational wealth freedom opportunity that is occurring. We're going to talk about tariffs and how they're actually an opportunity to position yourself for a slingshot of opportunity coming by the end of this year. And so you're going to want to pay attention to this video. If you have any dreams or aspiring dreams to become an entrepreneur in the physical product world, or you are a physical product seller on Amazon, FBA, Shopify, or a DTC channel and want to take advantage of the halo effect that is occurring online right now for those who are smart marketers, pay attention to this video. We're going to start it right now. Take your notes, shut everything off, and get to work, because you can probably do something today in your business impacted in the next 35 minutes that can help you create the opportunity you've been looking for. All right, let's get going.
Welcome to our Afluencer podcast and webcast series. By popular demand, we've got our Amazon expert and my chief nemesis, Neil Twa, back on the line here. Neil had such a popular episode about building and scaling your Amazon store that we wanted to bring him back and talk about that, but also with respect to the current market environment. We've got tariffs going up, S&P 500 dropping 19%. From peak to trough, and who knows where it goes from here. So we're looking to kind of build wealth, right, as the market dips, and create our own cash flow, store, stream, building wealth and all this good stuff that doesn't really tie itself to external sources, if you will. So Neil, welcome, and thank you for bringing the presentation. Also, if you're listening to this on audio, you're missing out. So if we can get you over to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the full presentation here and Neil's slides as we talk through these. Neil, thanks for coming back.
Well, Brett, thanks for having me out. Your arch nemesis. I'm back. I was joking about that with you earlier. It's like, hey, you caught him off guard, guys. But if you're listening, that's cool. Just, focus on what we have to say here today. Pay attention if you can. If you're driving, be safe. If you're wanting to get this, go over and watch the slides. It'll tie together what we're going to talk about here as we kind of go through this today of the turmoil and transfer and how to build wealth when the market dips. This is something that, of 18 years experience, I've had some, experience, if you will, in market changes and significant changes in the market. We're going through another kind of a pivotal change that is occurring in the market. It may be affecting you, it may not be affecting you right now, or it could just be at a consumer side. You're kind of wondering, well, what the heck is going on if, toilet paper costs a mortgage every month? I don't know. There's people's fears are going off the chart, Brett, in terms of thoughts and products. And a lot of people are afraid that they're not going to get the products they normally have. And then they kind of, there's this whole supply chain issue in question, and how does it impact opportunity? And, how do you move and shift through that? So today, I really want you guys to understand something, that there is a system to launch, grow, and profit and thrive in a physical products business like we do in 2025, and literally how you can go from zero to hero by owning your own physical product business, and how to take the principles of real estate, passive operating systems, and execute critical ideas in the e-commerce business that allow you to build your empire or retire, giving you generational time and wealth freedom. And more importantly, for those of you paying attention at home, how to get Jeff Bezos to pay off your mortgage while he's launching celebrities into space, which seems to be the latest thing that they're playing with over there, right? So guys, just because you're paying...
We were paying attention to that launch, but
heck yeah, dude! Like everybody was paying. I was like, that's one of those moments where you're like, "Hey, look over here," and it's like, "Well, I'm supposed to be paying attention over here. Like, what am I not listening to?" But guys, just for you, for your disclaimer, if you show up on this today and are listening to this, it doesn't mean money's going to magically appear in your bank account, right? So there are risks to any business. I don't know your background. I don't know if you're even going to take action on the things I'll share with you today. And I can't promise you're going to make the exact amount of money you're going to see here, but I can promise you, as if this is the greatest opportunity I've found in 18 years being in business for myself, to make aspiring and even existing entrepreneurs into super successful, profitable physical product business owners. So what is the big deal? Guys, the big deal with physical products is that when you identify a product and you build a brand, brands are timeless, while products can have a life cycle. Brands are timeless. And you can probably name some, Brett. We can name some, like your favorite car, your favorite shoe, your favorite phone. To create scalable growth within that business past 3 to 5 years, what I call the 8%, making you an 8%er. 92% of businesses actually fail in years 4 through 5, We're going to learn about why I want you to become part of the 8% if you're paying attention to this today, and why that upside potential and opportunity actually gets you into a place to sell that business, create a saleable asset that is worth something in the end. And so we want to address the big idea about product building and the physical product side. Some of you might be on digital, some of you might be looking to invest others, some of you might be, thinking about business and opportunity today and how it impacts you and how you might be able to be a part of something like that. Just understand these are the kind of the 4 steps overarching that we're going to break down into 4 additional steps that we'll cover in a minute. But a quick word about tariffs, because that's a big key word right now. In the world, tax on, tax off, right? It's like, is it going? Is it up? Is it down? Is it left? Is China doing this? Is Vietnam doing that? Is India here? Where's America? And everybody's like, but my products, bro? Where's my products? Like, I need to get my products. So what happens is, guys, that in essence, we are in a bit of a geo-economic political war, which we're kind of caught up in right now. And it is really an intent, I think, to change kind of the fundamental way we move products in and out of America, creating export opportunities to countries that don't let us export their products, which as a physical product owner is a problem, because I could not sell products into India, China, or other places profitably, and they want 51% of my business if I do it, so it makes no sense to go there. To open up that opportunity is to open up huge amounts of upside potential. And so if we can switch that around and really think about the positives versus the negatives, you have to remember there are impacts that occur in every market. And one of them we came through in 2020 to 2023, which many of you may have been focused on one aspect of it. We as business owners with physical products had logistics and freight and hyper growth situations that occurred. For example, in December 2019 to 2020, the cost of a container was about $4,800. It shifted to $25,000. Okay.
Wow.
We're not even that close to the problems you think right now with tariff cost and logistics. Plus, we had backlog. There were people who couldn't work, so the ships weren't even being offloaded. There was so many problems during that 3-year period that most people were not aware of. Why? Because they were all focused over here on home, pandemic stuff. They weren't paying attention to the stuff. Now that the pandemic stuff is gone, everybody's focused on tariffs as though they know what's going on. You really don't know what's going on. The costs that are associated at 145%, some of that's actually been removed. I think it's going to be removed quietly more as we go along, is nothing compared to that. And we had products and businesses that launched during that time frame, some of which are doing $5, $6, $15 million a year through our clients and brands who took the opportunity to leverage that and move forward in business. So I want you to keep that in mind, that we are still moving products. We are still sourcing products even from China. And there's a reason why we can do that while some of the other market can't. And it has to do with something we adjusted years ago. And I want to address that with you. And just so we're aware, the tariff thing is like an Uno reverse card. It could literally change tomorrow when somebody throws the card. When that happens, there's going to be a resurgence, and I'm hoping that those of you paying attention will take advantage of it. So before I get into what those specific things are, a quick word about me. Yes, this is my family. I do homeschool, homestead my family on 50 acres in the Ozark Mountains. I've been in business for myself for over 18 years. I am Neil Twa, and I am the CEO of Voltage Holdings. We own multiple brands, companies, software, processes, and operations. We've generated more than 30 million in sales through the Amazon channel on our own brands. We've done more than 50 to 100 million for products we have directly been responsible for, or through client relationships have helped them achieve that income. We've done everything from Amazon FBA to Shopify to TikTok shops, even retail. So we've been very omni-channel, even though I'll talk a little bit about Amazon FBA today. As a startup, for those aspiring entrepreneurs, please understand a real e-com business is a multi-channel business, not a single channel sales, okay? And one of the biggest things that most people have in questions, especially the aspiring entrepreneurs, the question becomes, what the bleep do I sell? Okay, that's all good and fine, but I need a product. I have to sell something digitally or physically. So in the next few minutes here, I wanted you guys to help discover these 5 breakthroughs. That is a proven system we have now developed across 8, 9 brands we own, 3 more that are coming online that are voltage controlled and owned brands. We are an operations team, just so we're clear. We do help with operations, but our goal really is to teach our operators how to build generational wealth like we're doing, and then work with us in a variety of other things as we
Neil,
work
just
together.
to jump in here because you mentioned Shopify, and I know Amazon's your main focus, but I thought the multi-channel is relevant to our Shopify store owners. We have a lot listening today, right? So they should, I assume, keep listening, and perhaps you're going to branch them out a little bit here.
We're going to talk about all those channels and relative to their what's called a heliocentric or a multi-channel approach to e-com, as it should be. Okay.
Excellent.
A single channel business like Amazon only channel is not a business. It is just a channel of sales in a company that needs other channels. If you're on Shopify and you don't have Amazon or retail or some other channel, you need to get those, right? You need to move your brand into other places. And that will give you the opportunity to build a brand that becomes a generational wealth opportunity, an exitable opportunity. But here's the thing, right? Most people don't understand that making the first $1 to $1 million a year just does not happen by itself. right? To cross the seven-figure barrier, you need proven strategy, great support, and total accountability. It changes, right? There is no other way to do that. When you combine all three, it's amazing. Just some examples of my clients who have done that. Matt is a six-figure Amazon FBA seller now, never sold before. He gets to hang out with his family and still do this. Steven, hanging out with his family, got his business to a point where he could move all the way across the country. David has grown his existing business from 30,000 a month to five. Now it's actually 615 as of the update just a few days ago. I should update that slide. 615,000 a month. He's opened his Shopify store, to increase his customer acquisition and is getting that dialed in. And we were already in conversations to buy up his business on its way to 10 million in sales. 19-year-old high school dropout, guys. If you think young or old can't deal with this kind of business model, you're wrong. This guy retired his dad from his operations and traveled the world. This guy retired his mom, had 80,000 in credit card debt getting going, and got this off the ground. Got married to that lovely lady. Now has a beautiful little kid. Keep him pretty busy. David and his wife generated over 70,000 in their first month of launch. And Matt, he's the results not typical slide. This is the gauntlet. This is the one I always throw down for people to see what's possible. But he generated 5 million a month within the first 9 months of his business, setting a $40 million a year run rate. Put his Shopify store online, got to about 200 million a year, and exited. What was the focus of their initiative? What did we train? What did we show? How did we help them build? We helped them understand the purpose and value equals profits. While a lot of you think profit is only a financial word, I need you to understand the other factors that come into that, what I call the 5 F's. Some faith in yourself or God. I have one in God. I also have faith in myself, which is cool. But I have it in the family and friends aspect. Sometimes friends are closer than family, but family is always there to support us. That's why I focus on my family, as you saw, and build into their lives, since I homeschool and took them out of the system in order to give them an opportunity. And of course, the finances that support the operations of your business and your life, because you can't make money and just live poor. If you want to, that's fine. A van down by the river would be cool, but most people want to have a decent lifestyle, right? And the foundational one of that, which is freedom of choice, freedom of opportunity, freedom to make choices and deal with consequences, positive or negative, that you have and every person has, is very important to understand that the pillar of all of those things stands on freedom. Okay, so do that right. And you can see a business like this that we just launched, literally on its way to 25, 35,000 a month. By Q3, our plan is to have it at 50,000. By 4, we'll have it over 100,000 a month as we slingshot it into 2026. This one is coming out very well in the last 2 quarters. We are set to do that in this brand that we own, right? So let's dig into these 5 breaks of massive success. Here they are. One we call the urban mining hack, which is going to be defining what the heck to actually sell. How to make it profitable, extremely important, because revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is king. All right. Don't marry your product. How to choose a niche and product variables in a brand so you don't get caught with the products when it's really the brand you should be focused on. How things like Amazon might be a river, but it's also a tree. How to get the hyper traffic growth out of Amazon that many people miss because they don't understand how to unlock it, especially if they're on the Shopify side. They see paid traffic, media, Google ads, etc. They want UGC content, viral videos, etc. But they also miss this gigantic engine running at 49% of all e-commerce sales in the United States. And they don't know how to wield that. There's a lot of traffic and opportunity, but you can't just throw listings up and expect it to happen. And then finally, the platinum principle, which really is, I think, the key to the kingdom, which we'll unlock here as we talk. But let's get through this situation that most of you aren't aware. There is a wealth transfer occurring. You might kind of wonder, you might wonder, how does tariffs impact that? How does all this thing impact this? What's actually happening? Forrester, Bank of America, and the Department of Commerce have projected about 21.6 trillion are coming online. One of the largest places in growth of double digits is the e-commerce online digital space. Physical project, digital goods, anything e-commerce related. This particular is to e-commerce sales of products. And as you can see, it is one of the only double-digit growth metrics that has occurred year over year since 2020 and beyond. It's going to continue to go more. This literally is where we were at 2040. I think this is now going to be sooner than 2040 at the current rate we're going, but we're going to see a giant inverse. Okay, it's going to move past retail and into online. It's already happening with companies that are bankrupting and situations that are changing in the finance world. Supply, logistics, and changes are occurring with manufacturing, moving to different locations. And money is like a river; it just flows. And right now, it's flowing out of certain locations into other locations, and it's resetting its location. And pretty soon, there are going to be opportunities created out of all that. But make no mistake, American shopping and budget and time is going to flip to online. So you're either going to be a consumer of that, which means you have to make money somewhere else, or you could be a producer and get in front of this wave. So that opportunity is coming literally in the next 36 months to take advantage of these major changes. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to figure out what the heck to sell, Very important. Okay. You may have some concept of that in your stores existing, or you may be, again, aspiring and wondering how I can figure that out. So let's go through this. We're going to use existing data that we can gather on large scale from Amazon because it is, again, 49% of all market share. We can look into that and say, is there a product I could sell and how much in demand is it and how much profit can I make and what's the upside potential? So one of the things we can look at is understanding the data points that bring us to an 80% confidence that the market wants this particular product. It's demand capture that we really need to talk about. Demand creation sounds great because your viral video popped off and something happened to your store, your TikTok or Shopify went really great, but really capturing the demand first, then getting into stream with what is out there is really important because it's all data driven. Even though it's a physical product, right? So many people get this backwards. We want to map the data and match it to the location where it is most relevant for that product first. And then we want to produce only the products that are most in demand and then move them across multiple channels.
Yeah, it's a great insight, because you don't want to be first. Take it from our experience. You don't want to have to create the demand. That's really super tough. You're doing this from all publicly available information then? Because this is just the public Amazon.
That's public to Amazon's front end. I'm going to talk about the information I have that is not public.
Gotcha.
But this you can see literally public, what's called the bestsellers rank, kind of tells you as you get closer to 1 in sports and outdoors, that's the top products. There's a top 100. There's also that number 5 in boat fenders, and we'll get to that in a minute. That's what's called a node for the particular product. So we want to match up that specific product where it lives. In this case, boat fenders. It's a boat fender, right? And we want to know that data because it's relevant to understand that data, its location, its relevancy to the person who's demanding that type of product. And then we want to produce a product that matches that exact demand, right? We don't want to guess. A lot of people guess. And a lot of people think we're talking about inventions, not innovations. So as you astutely pointed out, we're talking about innovations, right? Market innovations allow millions of product potential opportunities. That removes saturation when you pay attention to it from this perspective, when you look at it a different way. So we have competition, we have demand, but we're avoiding saturation by producing something that meets the demand, but is not exactly the same, right? Not a Me Too kind of product. So in simple terms, we want to find the right product data. We want to make that data better through sales, marketing, copy optimization. We want to make a product a little bit better, right? We want to meet the demand, but make the product a little better, a little bit feature rich. And then we want to sell that product data to an AI engine. Most importantly, you all need to understand that there are AI engines running everything across these platforms, online, viral, social media, etc. But the social media component of it isn't the engine, it's the amplification of the product or value of the brand that you have. And then you use social media. I think people got this backwards, right? You can look at guys that run really large corporations who put videos out and have 1,000 views on them, but they run a $5 billion corporation. You see the other guys who get 5 billion impressions, but they run $1 million a year business, right? And so we want to focus on the right important data. Most people think it's all about the product when it's actually all about the data first. Why? Because sales fixes everything. First, we learn to sell really well. Then we develop the right product for that demand. Then we develop the better product for that demand. And we've met the criteria of a really great physical product business. Do either one of those poorly, like don't sell it well and have the world's best product, ask me how I know, and then no one will buy it and you'll spend a whole lot of money and it sucks, okay? Spend a lot of time on marketing, but produce a crappy Me Too product and the whole thing still fails, right? Because the bad reviews, the product won't go and eventually it will crash. So what if I had data that would tell you that Jeff himself could tell you exactly what the heck to sell? Hey, Neil, you got to sell this product, man. It's going to be a hit. Trust me, Jeff Bezos, right? All right, so how do we do that? Let's get to that. First, we need to get past those myths. I addressed some of them a minute ago. Yes, there is plenty of product types and variations to sell. There are over 1 billion on Amazon alone that you on your stores and products and brands anywhere else online can go look at and identify the demand and creation of those. Just know that in their new AI-driven system, their back-end ranking system called Cosmo, and the front-end ranking system called Rufus, which you can see if you go to Amazon in your app and look at it, it's giving, Rufus is pulling all this customer data. There are 103,002 customer needs that I have been able to identify through data and intelligence, even using AI agents and Amazon's exact data to tell us what are the exact needs that meet all of that demand. It literally is the only products that drive all of the sales inside of Amazon. It's very important we understand that, right?
Because when did they roll out those AI engines, Neil? Is that pretty recent?
Well, about 2 years ago, they gave us some of the product data and opportunity to explore data, but it's not really relevant. It's like looking at the car and saying, well, I understand there's an engine and I realize it runs on gas, but I don't understand how many cylinders it has. I don't know what kind of oil it needs. I don't know, like looking at the data is one thing. Understanding how to interpret it, optimize it and get it to run at peak performance is really the difference between what we're talking about here today. And I'm going to show you the way we've done that to make it really simple to address the fact that you can avoid the competition and actually go into a great relevant competition space to avoid the saturation, which people think there is, which there's not actually, unless you sell the cheap Chinese crap, which we're not going to do, and don't know how to discover them. I'm going to tell you today how to discover them. And really all the good products are taken. There's no more, which is really not true at all. All right. Not true at all. So Neil, tariffs are making it impossible to start a business today. Nope, not actually true. And there's thousands of sellers that are making millions of dollars every year right now. So really, why not you? It comes down to conditioning you into a couple of areas that we need to focus on next as we solve the problem of what the heck to sell. The first is to discover what it is to get the right time, energy, attention, and money towards the right product, right brand. Okay, so we spend good money and good time and good effort going the right direction. And it starts, for those of you paying attention at home, with what we call the circle of confidence. That is everything you see in front of you every day, everywhere in your current online or life purchases. And we know that you're purchasing, your spouse is purchasing, your significant other is purchasing, you got stuff with kids, you got family, you got trips, you got hobbies, you got friends, activities, you got school. You're buying stuff all the time, Brett. Like 3 to 4 times a week, Amazon and deliveries show up at our house, right?
My 7-year-old told me last night, she's like, Daddy, you're a consumer.
We are consumers. We all are, but we can produce too, right?
She pointed that out too. She's like, and I was impressed that they learned that.
Oh, well, that's good. She's very astute.
Yeah.
Because literally everything these people have in front of them, from piano, soccer lessons, trips to Walmart, they've bought. When you have girls' nights out and you're cooking, you're using all of these things that you bought. You go out with the dudes to hang out on the golf course. They all bought their stuff. You go camping and outdoors. There's stuff everywhere. So the real problem is discovering what it is. So as we start to look and change the conditioning of the way we see products from a consumer to a producer, we start to see that we can train our brain to see what it's missing. We call it white car syndrome, okay? It's the analogy here. I had a friend that went down and I was gonna, this is a true story, buy a car, and we helped him out, and he wanted a specific car. He wanted the white car. He wanted the leather seats. He wanted all these things. He thought this is the primo car. So we go down there, we pick out the car. I literally see another one on the lot that looks a lot like the one he wanted, but I don't know that he saw it. But as we're driving home, guess what happens on the way home? Magically, the same white cars that he thought he didn't see start appearing everywhere. Do you think, Brett, that the world mysteriously and put these cars in front of his place? Or was he just not paying attention to the details?
Yeah, I don't think the world was trolling him, right? But it's
pretty sure.
It's funny how that works.
Pretty sure, but it works exactly like that. Or you have a shirt and you're like, hey, that guy's got a similar color or type of shirt, or girls with a dress, or you just see it. It just becomes why your conscientious brain and your subconscious are working in 2 different ways, right? Consciously, we are aware of this conversation. You might be listening to me right now, but subconsciously, you might be thinking about the home, the kids, on your way to drive. You're doing other things. You're listening. You're trying to pay attention, but the phone is ringing and other stuff's going on. Your subconscious is also recording all of that information and putting it away for long-term memory, even if you're not going to use it, and then it dumps it at night if you don't use it, right? Puts long-term memory storage, dumps out. We're like a big computer, literally. But what we don't recognize is this stuff is literally all around us until we start to see the patterns of behavior that start to appear. What were the patterns that happened in those 3 slides? You can probably see it, Brett. Did you notice it? See any of the patterns here?
I see the bike with the basket.
Yep. Ladies, bike, basket. Okay,
yeah,
there's a basket.
New thing, right? Yeah.
Yep. So then the question becomes, is I'm going to sell these products and I start to identify the baskets and the outdoor gear and the clothing and all this stuff. Which way should I actually sell this? Many people get confused. So let's clarify. In our world, we sell private label, right? So the difference in value comes down to the specificity of the intellectual property created when I take an existing product and I innovate it away from the market. I put new features, I put new stuff in it. Typically, if it's white label, there's no innovation opportunities with that product. They've manufactured it. You can put a label on it, but it tastes like chicken. It looks like a Me Too product. It's the same thing. It's really hard to market the difference in that product. When you go through a private label, I'm actually going to customize, move the product close to the market. I'm going to extol the features and benefits of it. I'm going to create it as part of intellectual property I own. And that is going to give me upside value when I create my branding under my product and my uniqueness based on a product we know exists. And in a word, that word is customization. Okay, when I customize an existing product, I can turn it into IP. From IP, I might even customize it to a certain point later on where I can get a provisional or design patent on it, where I now make it a truly IP-related product that is owned by me. Why is it important? Because I can take existing things and make them a little better. I can take existing things and make them a little more unique. I can get creative and I can unleash a brand, not a product, but a brand. This is just a product. This is what everybody thinks happens in the world of physical products. But what actually happens is this. I create a brand value product that is stronger. It is better manufactured. It is a better value proposition. It actually aligns with what people want more out of the quality of product or solution they have for that product. For example, if I'm going to put this out on my bike and maybe I want to put my dog or cat in there or some wine or whatever, I'm not going to trust the straps on this one as much as I'm going to trust the straps on this one. So the value perception changes. A little of the vanity changes. Well, because, hey, it's a Nantucket bike basket. It's not just some general thing. Hey, that's why a purse is $100 in one side of the house and $5,000 on another side of the house, because it's still a purse, but it's totally different when it's brand driven, right? So the main difference between them is the level of customization that allows the branding and the marketing to take over the value.
I'm guessing also you don't want to compete with Amazon has their kind of generic or Amazon brand. You don't want any part of that, right?
Well, in Shopify either. Anywhere in the direct consumer world of platforms or channels, do you want to just create Me Too products? That is also done with de minimis rules gone 4 or 5 days ago. You can't do that anymore anyways. So you have to move products to branding, and you should have been doing it before the window closed. Right. Now you really need to do it, or you need to do it if you're going to be brand new to this market going forward. So what we want to do is we want to start building a list of those ideas today. Most ideas you can think of, everything goes on the list. This could be stuff you bought, stuff you're thinking about, stuff that's in front of you right now in your car, house, or office that is all around you. You want to be writing down all of those product ideas, anything that comes from your circle of competence. You want to start building that condition of seeing products, seeing the white cars, right? So your homework for this session, guys, is to build a 500 product list, 500 product ideas, but it will go very quickly. Look at the last 180 days of your Amazon, and you probably have 100, 100, 200 of those already sitting on just your personal consumer list for the last 180 days, right? So this will actually move extremely fast. And by building that, you're going to start conditioning your mind to move from consumer to producer. You're going to find literally there are more products than you can possibly get in a lifetime. And that's a problem we can solve. So how do we filter that entire list down? We go by the numbers, right? This is the actual science of getting into the numbers to get an 80% confidence that they will sell and sell well. Why? Because I'm going to extract exact data I mentioned earlier from the location with the exact products, what are defined as what is called customer needs, that make up the bulk of Amazon sales. And by proxy, all the other sales are affected on the rest of the DTC world by the kind of products consumers want to drive. Okay. And in this, we want to literally understand that if you're going to build a 6, 7, 8, 9-figure company, you've got to get the numbers right. It's super important because you cannot build a business on gut feel. I can't tell you the number of people who come to me who are like, well, I run a $2.5 million business. Great. How much money do you make? Well, I cleared about 100,000 last year. What? Like, how is that possible? It happens a lot. Okay. You can't fly by the seat of your pants. You will crash and burn. And if you choose the wrong product and over leverage yourself too much, you can literally wipe out nest eggs. And we do not want that to happen. So we will analyze profitability first. $1 million sellers know exactly what the customer needs are to drive that demand. And these little changes can make success or disaster in the business if you're not careful. So we want to sell profitably. We want to market them successfully. We want to pay ourselves and others to help us do it. We want to negotiate from a strong position. So we need to have the knowledge and information. And we obviously want to build a real business with intrinsic value because it is an asset that can be worth a lot of money when we do this right. So what are the real numbers? All right. Many people have a scarcity mentality regarding product ideas. They think there are not enough good ones, that they're not. We're going to solve that by getting past which numbers. Here's the thing, though, that a lot of people get caught up in the next phase of this conversation. They think that they can try and make any product work because they're not sure they're going to have another product. They're afraid to test the next one. They may have tried one other product idea and it didn't go to the moon. And so they think the whole thing isn't going to work. That is the wrong mentality for a business. Okay. If we are getting products moving, if we are building a relentless list of product ideas and testing them, we're not going to have that problem. In fact, you're going to have a different problem, which is how to get the time and money to launch all those great product ideas on your list. You're going to have a new problem, right? So put them on there, understand why you put them on the list. We're going to size them up. Is a $19.99 product, common sense wise, going to make me more profit than a $49.99 product, Brett?
Probably not.
Probably not. Common sense says we put that on the list for $49.99, not $19.99. Because if we understand we use 30 to 40% of that product cost of goods to go towards marketing, Amazon fees, platform fees, Shopify fees, paid traffic, whatever. We got to, get the people to the business or capture them one way or another. So we're going to have a rough idea of profitability, appeal, demand, market experience, right? The $49 products and up are going to usually make us more profit because we have
Yeah, and
more
I think
money.
that's a really important point you make, Neil, because we see it a lot, especially with the Shopify owners, where they kind of pour their heart, soul, budget into creating the site, launching the product, and getting it made and produced, and then they're tapped out by the time it comes to the marketing
Can't
side.
make it
It's just
work. Yeah.
right,
You need a
exactly.
CPMs. With the CPMs now on the marketing currently, it's just not going to work for a product less than $50. We know this about Amazon. You should know that about Shopify and the products we move on there too. $50 to $100 for your first customer acquisition is almost a need now for the type of products. You got to get your AOV up. And so, to get a factory quote or at least an idea of cost so you can kind of put that into a category of, well, I'm pretty confident if it cost me $9 landed cost to make that widget like the basket, then I'm going to make more money if I sell it for 49 than I do 19. Okay. And I'm going to be able to increase the value of that product just a little bit more. So what I want to do is I don't want to get attached to any of those. What I'm looking for is the more ideas, more profitability, more upside potential, more market valuation, more retail price point. Don't get attached to any product idea and don't try to force the numbers to work. That's an amateur move. Okay. Those of us who move through products never marry those products. Okay. More you dig, the better it looks, or the more you dig, the worse it looks. There's literally only two directions to go. I think people kind of miss this sometimes in the obvious, Brett. They just keep pushing it and working it and thinking, well, I'll get it to meet my needs. If I could just sell 1,000 extra units next month, I'll make more money. Well, did you make $1 in profit this month on that? And you think you're going to make 2,000 units next month sell at $1 in profit? You actually lost money. So what you really should have done was got the dollar in profit up to like $4 or $5 and sold 1,000 units of those next month, and you would actually get ahead. So people have to focus on what matters. You have to mine what we call the gold to maximize your profits. It's all gold, Neil. It's gold, right? So we got to get in the gold, Jerry. That's what we got to get. So one of the ways we do that is to compile our data correctly. This is a sheet that you guys can actually get access to. We'll put it in the notes later. That literally is a sheet where you can go in, you can look at the proceeds from the sale of the product, the gross breakdown, the profitability. Too many people do not understand the difference between gross profit, gross margin, and net profit. They get these wrong, guys. Net profit is what you keep when everything else gets thrown into the pot. Net is what falls out the bottom. Most people are still focused on, oh, I got gross margin of 80%. Well, in the world of tariffs, CPMs, cost, platform fees, etc., that doesn't always make up the difference in your profitability. You need to focus on your profitability more. What is the bottom line of that business going to get from a unit sold? And you need to be able to track it. There's a sheet here that you can start manually tracking it. If you don't have one, if you do see this and you're watching and you get access to that link below, please just make a copy of it. It's yours to have. File, make a copy, share it to your Google Drive. Don't change the one on the link that you're going to get access to because that's just the shared template. And then keep that copy for yourself. Go in and mine that data. I encourage you, if you don't do this process in your products, you should be doing it in your business, okay? Don't go by gut feel. Now, if I could save you 100 hours of product research and data gathering and give you a list of what we call green light products, that's green, go for profit, 70% faster and easier, would that help you out, okay? So I actually developed a system. We call it the Cayman Data Engine. It's a long acronym meaning Comprehensive Amazon Intelligence Marketing Analytics Navigator, Cayman. All right, so what it means is you can go in, identify the product opportunities, exactly the needs that are currently deriving exact products and type on Amazon based on their model, their data. Validate the products that are green light, those that make the most profitability, upside potential. Be careful of the yellows and of course avoid the reds. And then down to which products specifically are meeting that need. There are about 7 products on average that meet that specific customer need that have the market share. Once you identify that, you know exactly what product to go into, where to place that product in the system, and where to see the maximum demand. Should you have a Shopify store, this data would also work to go in and mine Amazon's data to see what kind of products you should actually greenlight and produce. There's a free trial of Ace and Finder, which is one of the tools in our stack that you can get access to right now if you choose to do that versus the spreadsheet. It's just $1 trial. You'll get rebilled after. You can cancel in the first free 7 days if you want. That access to that is right there. The full system actually will be launching out this year, Brett, somewhere this summer, hopefully by July. we're going to have the full Cayman data system online that everybody can check out. When you find the right data, it's very important that that's where your success will come from. Eric, we moved and pivoted through 2 products, and the second one is on a second 7-figure run now, and we have moved multiple SKUs and variations. We actually stepped in to help him with his business because he ran into some troubles, and with that, we've helped him now get on a 7-figure run rate with that business. The big step that he took, which you should too, because I know a lot of Shopify sellers, Amazon people don't do this, is they marry their products. So don't marry your products. You need to marry your brand. Brands are sustainable, right? That's why Coke, Pepsi, Nike, Toyota, etc. have all been here for decades. It's not about their products. It's about their brands. You have to start thinking about that, right? And when I say steal someone else's girlfriend, I mean that there are lots of product opportunities to innovate in that marketplace, millions of them. I don't mean stealing packages off your neighbor's porch, just so we're very clear. All right. So David understood that, went in, we launched his product. The first proof of concept in what's called our 5x5 product launch netted him just under $160,000 in sales to prove that we were over the data in the relevancy. Now we're moving to a full product launch. He literally has 3 full containers of product being checked into Amazon today. This is May 5th, 2025 when we're doing this. And so he's about to scale his business to 1.45 minimum by the end of 2025. It's all proven, it's marketable. We have the upside. Now we're getting full inventory in. So we're super excited about that. The products were chosen by the data intelligence engine, right? No guessing. David's in a big market. We're going to get him a little piece of that big pie. So he's getting big results. So what we want to remember again is revenue is vanity and the volume of units you move is also vanity. I still think people get caught up in that as some sort of accolade. I want more profitability per unit, even if I move less units. But make no mistake, these engines move a lot. The big market that he is in moves between 50 and 100,000 units a month. All right, so there's a huge upside, and we're just going to move him to the first 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 units a month and get his market share in, and he's still going to be like 0.1% of the entire market. So we still have huge upside. The reason it works, again, is sales fixes everything. Amazon, we start with because it's a sales machine. That's the only reason people go there. Organic, 200 million views a month, 200 million Prime members, 7,000 units moved a minute on average. 9,000 on peak holidays. It's a demand machine. If we sell to the engine, right listings, copy, intent, etc., like with David, and the product on the back end is good and it's being delivered to the customer, because we know this, if you guys do any marketing, you know when you go to Meta or Google, you're setting data intelligence in front of that engine and you're hoping that it defines the customer and finds the segmentation and shows it to more the right people who buy more product, and that's the whole game, right? Well, Amazon's doing the same thing. Literally, all these AI engines are doing the same thing. So it's our job to make sure we give it the right information. The key reasons it works for us is we will always launch market tests quickly before doing a full launch. That was a market test with David that now proved we can go out and get a large amount of inventory, and we know the upside potential of it. We're not guessing, it's all in the data. And a lot of people make this mistake. They go out and they're like, I'm gonna order 3,000 units of something. No, do not do that, okay? We wanna innovate what's working. We don't wanna invent. We're selling listings, data, copy, and intelligence to an AI. It's finding the right people, delivering the product, handling customer support, doing a lot of that work for us. Creates automation, big deal, right? Systems of automation. The market is smarter than you guys are. Literally, let it teach you what it's doing. Too many of you try to force the market. Well, I have to sell this product. Don't do that. That is a mistake that amateurs make, okay? Some ideas can be great ones, and some of the better ones you won't even know. So if you launch fast, you might find you got a winner because you're simply moving more quickly and imperfectly. Remember, these kinds of systems, platforms, others, UGC content, etc. You're borrowing similarity and familiarity and trust to leverage your brand. Utilize that, right, through these systems. Utilize it to build your brand trust. Differentiation is good. Improvements are much better. They add value. So remember, don't marry your product. Make something almost unique, somewhat better, get a little creative, and most importantly, unleash a brand, okay? Tad got it. Tad is a 20-year real estate guy, no experience in e-com whatsoever. Launched his products. We are on his way to 50,000 a month with 15 months of work, and he's at a 22% profit margin. He expects, based on his next capital allocation, which he's choosing because he's an owner, to get to 100K a month by the end of 2025. He's literally now on the process of doing that. Super excited about what he's been able to do. He followed the processes, he followed the tool set, he followed the instruction, he launched his test products, they went well, and now he is scaling the full size of the business. Why can a guy with 20 years in real estate experience do that? Automation, right? Automation and process, okay? With Amazon, I can use their logistics and fulfillment infrastructure, which is the sixth largest logistics company in the world, to not only deliver my Amazon products, but my TikTok and Shopify and retail products, right? So I can create a multi-automation system using Amazon's back end to deliver to all these additional channels. So instead of having multiple warehouses or locations or multiple 3PLs where product is sitting all over the place, I have a couple 3PLs and mostly Amazon where all the product moves out to these different locations. It's a simplification, it's automation, therefore I don't need a warehouse with a bunch of people. I don't have that, right? So the beautiful thing about that is it creates what I call almost automated income. It's a model where this particular engine sells products while you're sleeping. It's what all of us ultimately want. It's why you're trying to push social media and other things. Just understand this one keeps churning and burning, whereas social media, if I launch a video in 3 to 4 days, that traffic's usually gone. And so now I have to go pay for that traffic. So that's a constant hamster wheel engine. This one's churning all the time, all the time, all the time. And I don't have to do this, and neither do you, put a bunch of products in my garage and ship them. This isn't eBay, right? I think a lot of people get confused that if I do a physical product business, this is what my house is going to look like, right? It doesn't. Adam understood that. He couldn't do it anyways. He worked 40 hours a week at a pharmacy, and he's a pharmacist. So he launched his products. He was able to get his kids involved. They went to 13,000 and 21,000 a month, launching 1,000 units right now to grow it up while juggling his family, his home life, his kids, his schedules, and everything. He's able to do it. So literally, you guys, there's no excuses when you are following a process, following structure, and following the right data. What you have to understand is how to get into where the data is. That's kind of what we're talking about. And literally, it's understanding that there is an economic engine already running that I can step into. We talk about user-generated content. Why? Because I'm leveraging someone else's build social media presence and affinity. We talk about email list blasts to other people in joint ventures because, well, I can borrow their audience. Well, Amazon, I'm just borrowing their audience. It's the same thing. So many people look down on it, but at the end, it is the same thing. It is a traffic, and we call it floating the Amazon. Why? Because in this river of traffic, online, running 24/7, 365, everywhere, the real traffic is optimized right in the middle of the river, right? It's where, what is it called? A current. Ever heard that phrase? In the middle is where the current runs, right? So many people, okay, who want to float any of these businesses, platforms, etc., even Amazon, set on the shoreline and yell at the river to come closer to them. I see it all the time, all these owners, right? Not just Amazon, but Shopify, retail owners, etc. They're all just yelling at the river. So if you understand that this river is going and it's in this giant digital filing cabinet of information, what you have to understand is when placing my product intent in front of a customer who already wants to find it, was already in the mechanism of buying it, I need to get it in the right location inside of that river. I need to get it in the right location inside of that platform where that river is flowing. And then I need to give them the right product that they're expecting to get that matches the solution in 30 seconds or less, right? That's the attention span. We have 6 seconds or less on the UGC side, on the social media side, right? I think monkeys have like 7 seconds. We're falling, Brett. We're falling very quickly.
We're down the primate ladder. Yeah,
we're not good, dude. We're more
up and down. We had a good run. Yeah,
yeah, it was good. Way to race to the bottom on that one. Attention span, yeah. Right? But that giant engine on the backside of that filing cabinet has these engines in front of it. Facebook, Meta, algorithms. We talk about it. Google has one. Amazon has one. Etsy on a smaller side has one. All the platforms of internet traffic have them. Amazon's economic engine is more powerful because it is solely geared towards the purpose of getting somebody to buy something in 30 seconds or less. Shopify doesn't do that for you. You have to do it yourself. And that's where a lot of people fall off on the technicalities of conversions, metrics, setting up their pages, watching their follow-ups, their SMS, their emails, and all this retargeting and stuff. It's because you become the economic engine.
That's a great point. So, because on the Shopify, there is no central. There's no current.
There is no central engine. You're it.
You're on. Yeah.
You become that engine. This is one of the reasons why I like starting on Amazon, because we call it priming the engine. And this engine is already running. It's already intentional. It is already under customer intent purchasing and driven. It is build systems and grow. When I want to find out if I have a product that is in demand, I'm going to the engine first. I don't want to be the engine, right? Because it takes a long time to get that going. I want to know the engine is running. I want to grab it. That also creates more automation for me. And then later on, I can move into additional channels when I have the understanding of what an economic engine really wants from that. And this is a great place to start. It always has been. I know, again, a lot of people look down on it, mostly because I don't think they understand how to move it. I'm not an Amazon fanboy. They do a lot of things wrong. Let's be very clear. They make some stupid mistakes. Their AI systems do things wrong. Their customer support lately has been a shambles. There are problems with inbound logistics right now, getting freight moved. But what I consider that to be on the Shopify side, retail, there's just business problems to be solved. They're business problems we all have to solve. So you choose which battle you want to fight. Yeah, Amazon has been stupid about some things. They have had things where they closed our listings because somebody did a fake DCMA takedown. Well, that could happen on Shopify. I've had that happen too, right? So with Amazon, the problem is they know if they throw you into their support system, you have to go through that hellhole, which is not fun. And they really need to change that. And right now online, they're getting absolutely, blasted. They're being put on blast by everybody because of the way they've allowed Chinese sellers to overtake the system, intentionally breaking terms of service and violating, which we're all pissed off about, right? And so we're on there hammering, people are hammering, other community people are hammering, and now we're finally getting some traction. And like him or not, Mark Cuban sort of picked up the mantle and he's chatting to all of his people, and so it's starting to get some real momentum that, well, there needs to be some things fixed in that engine. There's a lot of pros and cons to it. There's pros and cons to every business model. You have to choose which ones you want to fight. So if you're going to fight brand domination on Amazon, understand these are the things you need. You need to be hyper relevant to the brand niche. Why? Because they are not there to browse. They are there to buy. It is a completely different psychological. You're not interrupting them. You didn't put a cat meme on Facebook as one of your, marketing strategies. You didn't do a product video on Facebook. You didn't interrupt them in Google because they were searching and looking for information. They are there to buy. They already did all of that. They came to Amazon to click add to cart. That's why they were there. So a hyper relevant product is extremely important. Find the product that is in demand. Get your ego out of the way, okay? Marketing, hyper relevant, because now my ads are relevant to the copy intent of the 3 things that person was looking for when they wanted to come there, not to, question whether or not they should buy it, but to find out which one they're going to buy. Very different, right? And brand videos, very powerful. Brand videos are doing extremely well for 30-second brand videos that feature a specific formula we're using that is doing extremely well on the CTR side as well as the customer acquisition side, lowering costs dramatically by 30 to 40% customer acquisition with brand videos. Very, very powerful. You need to be a brand on Amazon to take advantage of that. No wholesale, no flipping, no arbitrage, no retail. You must be brand owner, okay? You launch multiple products into those areas. So as we go down, we hedgehog, as Good to Great and Jim Collins said, we hedgehog down, and then we simply sell more of the same product in different packaging. We borrow from like retail. Apple, right? If you have an iPhone, you got an iPad, you got the iMac, your wife, your kid, your significant other, you all end up with 20 devices, all Apple related because you like Apple, right? So we do the same thing in our brand. Once we get down to there, we put more and more products into that node and we simply hedgehog. There's a page 1 for every customer intent on this engine. There's a customer need as we define for every top product. There are hundreds of millions of page 1s. So literally the more product we put in that system, the more money we're going to make. It's a law of averages. As we go in that system and we put 3, 4, 5 products into that system, we will always find in our 5x5 that 1 or 2 of those products will pop off and have the potential to come 7-figure profits in the products. From there, we expand the brand. So the brand becomes 7-figure, 8-figure afterwards. We put multiple products to lower the risk and increase the upside potential. That gives us the ability to go beyond 4 and 5 years. Multiple products branding, not single products, not single channels. Very important you understand that, okay? Go it alone in that process. This could be you. Shopify DTC, 30 million a year, came to Amazon. In 1 year, they made $16,000. They did not understand the psychology of the things I just explained to you. They didn't get it. They asked us to help them. In 60 days, we had them nearly 60,000 a month. Within the next 90, we had them over 100,000 a month. They simply don't understand the economic engine. David didn't get it either, right? Because not a lot of people have been in the trenches with Amazon long enough or have the experience we do to understand how the economics of that intent, that model is working. He had 30,000 a month, could not get that moving anywhere else. He tried and tried. He came to us and he said, either we get this to work in the next 6 months or I have to quit because I'm running out of money. Well, in 5 months, we had him to 100,000 a month profitably, increased his revenues up to 20% profits. He's up above that now. He's on a 6 million run rate at 615,000 a month. He's opened his Shopify. He's expanding. The important part is you have to understand there's technicalities in this economic engine that people don't get. They don't know how to use it, so they will get abused by it, literally. Background, I was with IBM for almost 5 years. I worked in latent semantic knowledge management. We were building artificial intelligence engines. I was working at Armonk. We were developing human machine language and intelligent engines before I got to see what the large language models look like, guys, like 20 years ago. So if you think what we see now is big, you are not paying attention. The stuff we're playing with on AI is like kids, it's candy, and they're just handing it out to us right now. The big stuff is still coming, okay? When the big stuff hits, it is going to take jobs, it is going to take industries, it is going to revamp the way this all works. But one thing is for sure, people need products. And if you learn how to get this correct in these engines and you understand the economics of these engines and what they want and when they want it, it's very important that these, there are times to train these and go. You can do what he did. He did not understand the things we taught him about this economic engine when it wanted it. He was fighting with it. He didn't even understand. He was fighting it. And so when he turned and said, okay, I'm willing to give it what it wants, intelligence, well, it rewarded him. So it's very important you guys understand Meta AI engine does a similar thing. Google's AI engine does a similar thing. Amazon's engine does a similar thing. Okay. We are selling intelligence to an AI engine. We need to know what it wants. When you understand what it wants, it will reward you. So the last step that you need to understand is you're building through all of these aspects of your business. You're growing to profitability. You are opening multiple channels. You need to understand that a full business model has the opportunity to do what I call the platinum principle. Okay. The platinum principle is building a multi-channel e-commerce business worth millions that can create generational wealth and time freedom for all of those years you're plowing into it. As you're opening your shop, Amazon, and you're going to your Shopify, and you're going to your TikTok, and you're maybe going out to retail, and you're creating this multi-leg approach, you are adding multiples to the valuation of the profit in your business, meaning that in 4, 5, 7 years, your business could be worth millions of dollars to you personally. So as you are building these, don't just think short term, what am I getting out of it? That's important too, because you got to pay yourself, but don't put yourself in a position where you're not willing to take the next risk to reward ratio to gain the opportunities of the upside potential, which is a business that is a saleable asset. You have to grasp this concept. People are willing to pay a lot of money. It's very important. This is changing and life-changing for most people who get it. Not everyone selling on Amazon has set this business up correctly, and I want to say the same for Shopify. You are not setting your business up for maximum reduction in taxes, maximum protection of yourself in the market from other sellers. You don't consider or don't even know until it's too late. You run into it because you don't understand it. You don't realize how exposed you are to selling online, okay? If you are not paying attention to how the market is seeing you, your products, or you're dealing with it personally. Most people don't understand the order of the steps. But listen, as a buyer of businesses, I will tell you, if you want to learn this, I'm going to explain it to you because I buy these companies. So I want you to understand what we're looking for, how to meet the expectations, how to stack the value, how to build buyers at your door, create generational wealth. Understand that you should launch this business. Okay, here it is. Before you start selling. I know so many people go straight out, open the store, put their personal information and start selling and thinking, okay, I'll get this all taken care of later. You're already exposed. There are sharks in the water. They're out there everywhere. I'm not looking to take over your business, but I know the people who are because they've tried to do it to mine. They tried to knock out our manufacturing. They've tried to take us down with fake reviews. They've tried to DCMA us. They've tried to knock us out. There are a lot of unethical business principles now being applied online, specifically in the last 10 years, Brett. It's gotten really bad, right? So if you're not setting this stuff up correctly from the beginning, you've already been exposed. By the time you get any success, you may be putting yourself in great jeopardy, not realize how exposed you actually are. So we want to create intrinsic value in the business by putting the IP online first, setting up the business and structure correctly, getting your tracking, bookkeeping, and accounting done correctly, knowing your numbers and being successful as you go forward. In other words, for many of you, you need to treat this like it is not a side hustle or a hobby business, all right? That is where a lot of you are stuck in that brain. Just if I can make a few extra dollars. Instead, you need to treat it like what a real business does, okay? You need to understand that most aspiring entrepreneurs do not set up their business correctly at all. But after today, you guys should not be making that mistake. You should be putting your business fundamentals, okay, ahead of how well you run your marketing campaigns on Meta. I know that doesn't resonate with everybody's brain, but guys, as a business owner, I've watched too many companies fail because they simply didn't understand how to run their business in years 3 through 5, and that's when 92% of businesses fail. Your opportunity is to get that right. Do it like Daniel, and it creates generational wealth, okay? Daniel, never running an e-com company, took that to heart. He started in the middle of the pandemic. It took him 8 months longer than normal to get to market because of the logistics supply chain, but he did it in the middle of a major economic issue. Gosh, what does that sound like, Brett? And he still launched his company. And on the back end of the change of that economic, because it always changes, and it has dramatically, he slingshot past 13 million plus a year in revenue. Okay, 20% net profit, growing his valuation at 4.2 as annual profit. What he did in his corporate job, he said he never could. An asset that will build while he sleeps and secures his family's future. He has now built up a transformative business opportunity that when he comes to exit in the next 2 years or so, which he's looking at doing, he will have a generational wealth exit opportunity because he did it all right from the beginning. He put higher risk on the beginning to get the greater reward in the end. And I think too many of you are passing that risk off till later while not taking the opportunity to do it. Quick word about the exit. Planned exit. We want to sell it. We want to transfer it. We want to create an inheritance. We don't want to wind it down, but that could still be a planned exit. Most people are working under an unplanned exit. They are working under some death, incapacity, divorce, personal crisis, business failure, bankruptcy, or some other thing. which is why you're actually watching most of the online brokerage sites being leveled with so many businesses right now that we are going through hundreds and hundreds, and we'll end up with 1,000 businesses before we found the one we're going to buy. And we're in the process of hopefully getting that one closed right now. We're about 600 businesses deep into it because there are so many people who did not plan their exit correctly, and they're now in their 5th year after the nonsense with COVID, and they are now having to exit for the unplanned reasons, not the right reasons. And so there's so much stuff out there to wade through. Guys, I want you guys to instead, I want you to exit on your terms. I don't want you to get caught up on the unaware consequences of your business setup like I'm watching so many people right now. Instead, I want you to plan your exit from the beginning with the end in mind. So what is the way to do that? We call it the green light process, all right, that powers this platinum opportunity. With 5 market tests, each selling average of 5 units a day, our goal is to get 25 physical product sales a day at the right profitability, which means each product must net a profit greater or equal to $12. So some of you right now are going, I have a $19 product on my Shopify store or a $29 product. I'm pretty sure I'm not getting $12 in profit on it after every sale. And this is one of your problems that you have to solve. You're going to have to elevate your product through supply chain. You do it correctly, and you can sustain tariffs, changes, and other things with the profitability built into your business. Do that correctly. Here's an additional one we just launched, is now 1,000 a day in revenues. The right product, the right opportunity. We're over 1,000 a day. We're not 2,000 a day actually as of yesterday, making us 1,000 a day in profit on this new product launch. You can see that literally just happened in April, and we are in May right now. So it's real-time results. I'm talking about in this economy with tariffs and all this crap, we're still launching successful products that are doing over 1,000 a day in profit. So with your 25 sales a day, which is about 760 sales a month, $12 in net profit, our goal is to get to 109,440 in net profit. And that is profit. Okay, gross is fine. That's great. Vanity, don't really care. What matters is getting to over 100,000 in profit. That's not including holidays. So like Prime Days, holidays, regular holidays, Black Fridays, we're going to probably do closer to more than 150,000 in profit on that particular business because of those additional holidays. They're kind of baked in. What I want is the base case that builds that. And that is something that you also want to consider as you're keeping in your net profits in focus, not your gross profits. I think too many of you are still focused on the wrong business metrics. Neil, I don't care about how many units I move. Well, but is your profitability up? Well, no, because I'm not focused on this. My CPM's this and blah, blah, blah. No, you got to get this right. Okay. So in terms of net, we're not talking about your gross profit or your gross margin or your gross sales. Still, you guys are still too focused on that. I know you are. I run into so many companies. And for the few of you who haven't got that on this call and you figured it out, good for you. That's amazing. What we keep in our bank account is most important. That's all that matters, in fact. So revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is king. It's the basis of the profitable playbook, okay? So what does that actually look like? In our 5x5, if we are going to put 5 product tests in the market to get to 5 sales a day organically, okay, with $12 in profit, then we are going to be looking at around 109,005 plus the bonuses of holidays, or around 91.25 a month. You're going to need to deploy roughly around 25,000 in capital in your business to do that. That's actually really not a lot in year one. In fact, we deploy usually around 200,000 in a business in year one for growth. Okay, growth comes in year 2, scale comes in year 3 to 5. Year 1 is your building year. That's your opportunity to get your framework, your products, and your tests in place. If you deploy more capital faster, you can potentially increase the profitability of the kind of products you're going to market, 50 to 100. And if you're going to deploy more capital in year 1, you're going to typically look at products that are closer to $100 to $500 in retail price point. Those products are in demand. In fact, did you know, Brett, the average sale price on Amazon is $69?
Did not know that. Well, that's encouraging for your.
It's very encouraging. Why? Because so many people are still trying to sell the sub $20 products. We say, friends, don't let friends sell sub $20 products on Amazon, which means you shouldn't do it on Shopify either. Okay. The only place it might work is organically on TikTok, but even then you're going to still need paid traffic, and influencers cost money. So you still have that towards your cost of acquisition. You can't lie to yourself and say it's not there, okay? So together with you, us guys, there's a possibility that you might consider working through a process by which we work as a team. All right, so who is interested in buying this business should this team effort occur? Corporate suitors, private equity, individual investors, and Voltage, okay? We partner with a private equity firm who's developed that firm called Patriot Growth Capital. They are actually founded by veterans for veterans. They helped 16,000 veterans last year. We are in acquisition with one of the first deals within this new relationship, and we are looking to acquire companies that are usually doing close to 5-10 million or more a year, as long as their profitability is above $1 million to $1.5 million. They are a target acquisition for us. So if you have a Shopify, Amazon, retail, or combination business that fits into that buy box, talks, we might want to talk to you. We're also raising those companies up out of the brands you saw earlier that we discussed and the owners who have been working with us to build an owner operator experience through our Voltage process. Our goal is to get them from the beginning with the exit in mind to create the value necessary to build what we call, again, the platinum principle, which is the exit strategy is the business strategy. And most people don't realize that is one of the greatest secrets of this entire business model, building it with the exit in mind. There are huge opportunities. Why would we want to do that in the end, Brett? Because why would I sell it at all? Money is worth more today than it is tomorrow. In fact, in the last hour, money just degraded. Thanks, inflation. So every day, money degrades. So if I can get money back in 3 to 5 years on that business and then go back to the market, recapitalize that money and energy doing it again and again, then you could turn into somebody like us who in 12 years now has 8 brands that we have redeployed into our brands, into our product partnerships, into additional capitalization with exit potentials going on, and then redeploying that capital into new brands and building that machine. It takes a little time, but it is the opportunity for those of you paying attention today to create a multi-channel business that is worth more in the end than at any time during the business building phase. And again, that is the platinum principle. So that's the end. Brett, that was a lot. We went fast. Hopefully people are still paying attention.
Yes. We have a couple questions here, Neil. Yeah, appreciate that was a great amount of information. Really great. And yeah, just to cap, I mean, your last point, if we lived in a world where a country where we weren't printing money, then maybe you would keep these as cash flow. But to your point, you need to keep reinvesting because the dollar that we all earned this morning is now worth less.
That is an unfortunate side effect of this, but it is an opportunity to deploy capital correctly, take it out of banks and fiat situations where it's actually degrading more, and put it into an asset like an inventory, a physical inventory, where if I buy $100,000 worth of inventory, it's actually worth possibly $400,000 when I sell it. So that's an asset. And by the way, it's like the second oldest profession in the world to move products, physical products, right? The first one I'm not into. That's like OnlyFans and stuff. They're moving a whole different kind of product.
That's a different webcast for sure.
Different kind of product. That's not mine. You guys go check that out. That's a different total webinar altogether. This one is more like physical products. But if you would allow me a few minutes, I can explain, if anybody's still listening, kind of how we do this. I haven't spoken a lot about what Voltage does or how we do it. But if you guys would give me a few minutes, I can explain that.
Yeah, go ahead, Neil. Yeah.
Okay. So what is Voltage? We are an incubator. Just to be very clear, it's not a course, not a program. We're what's called an incubator. We launch, operate, scale, and exit and acquire e-commerce businesses with a focus on FBA, retail, and direct-to-consumer marketing channels. Those are our 3 trifecta. We train CEO operators to become the owner operators, putting them through the incubation stage, helping them create the brands with every step and process it, doing one-on-one with them so that they can gain household names in their brands through multiple places, online, infomercials, radio, television, marketing, all the stuff, okay? We do that through a growth and consulting division that we have where we've got our 10 plus years experience. Now it's like 12. We have software that we've developed, the Cayman data software. We have the processes, the engine, the marketing, the mechanism to support that. We have multiple in-house brands that we own and manage in our ops team, as I mentioned. So we are operators, just to be very clear. That's why I don't have a course and a program to talk to you about today, because that's not what we do here. We operate, we grow, we scale, we exit. The software and stuff we developed in-house. We work through product partnerships. Those who become part of our business builders then eventually get the opportunity to either be a product partner with us or they get to be potentially an operator. So if they've got additional time and they want to make a little more money, if they want to partner with us or partner on brands we're acquiring, there's that opportunity to do that. I mentioned capital partners, where we put in our playbook to acquire those companies that are larger. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur or somebody who's operating a channel and wants to grow that channel, maybe you're a David, maybe you want to be an Eric who's just getting started, or you're running a business and you want to grow it to, a launch, scale, exit phase, and you might want to consider that in the future that business could be sold to Voltage. So the question then becomes, what if we worked with you guys to do that? If I saved you 100 hours of product research, gave you my intelligence engine, helped you understand exactly the need, the demand, and which product to go after, did it on private calls with you one-on-one, gave you all of my playbook, my access, my tools, 6 months free of the software, the sourcing, manufacturing, trained assets, onshore and offshore with our relationships we've established, all of our service providers, graphics, copy, AI agents, everything available that is in my infrastructure behind an NDA. Nobody gets it in without an NDA. Trained you on the 8-figure strategies, the marketing strategies, the PPC strategies we use, omni-channel, walked you through those steps and did it under a consulting plus skin in the game performance bonus, where I'm going to bet that those who come involved, who go through the application process and get approved, there is an app process. All right. Not everybody who wants to be a part of this gets to be a part of this. To get 100K in net profits, or I'll forfeit that $10,000 bonus. So I'm putting $10,000 on the line of my fee, okay, to get this business to 100K in net profits. We don't get there, I forfeit it, and we keep working with you until that actually occurs. Okay, consulting plus performance. Yes, there is a consulting fee that is $25,000 for 1 year to work with us. There is an installment opportunity to do that if you're eligible for it, and we have that conversation. But if you're interested and you would take me up on that offer, then you can go here and scan this or go to that code, check out the additional 7 spots I have open this month for May. That may be something you want to apply to get involved. If you have an existing business, we'll talk about your existing plans, omni-channel, and how to make maximum out of that current channel. If you're on Shopify but you're not on Amazon, we'll talk about the strategy to drive up that Amazon as a secondary channel and grab that intrinsic traffic. Did you know, Brett, that like 30% of all DTC marketing ends up on Amazon now?
That's wild. I guess it makes sense, but that is pretty wild.
Yeah, so that paid media that you went out and spent $100,000 on last month, you can assume somewhere between 18 to 30%, depending on your market, niche, and segment, ended up buying a product on Amazon instead of buying it from you.
Yeah, and then you think, it makes sense. You think about the way people fill up their carts, right? You're already there, and you're
omni-channel flows over, dude. We're tracking between 18 to 30% based on channel and market are coming from Shopify to Amazon, or TikTok to Amazon, or even retail, of course, and online television. So those who are watching TV, streaming media, etc., they're falling over to Amazon, even if the advertisement doesn't say go to Amazon. Right? It's just become a demand capture platform that people trust because they know they go there, they buy, it shows up, it doesn't show up. They can deal with it. They leave a bad review or they return the product. They know their mechanism. People are extremely smart, but they go there to buy it, just so we're very clear. So if you're spending any amount of budget and you don't have a strong Amazon presence to match that, well, your consumers are going there and most likely they're buying someone else's product. So you're basically paying for somebody else to buy a different product. That's not smart. So let's open that channel, grab that opportunity to get that additional channel open. We do focus for aspiring entrepreneurs. We start you on Amazon. Why? Because again, that is offers on the eyeballs on the offer. It is where the traffic and demand goes. It's a great place to learn about the marketing and beginning of a product and brand segment. And then you can build and extrapolate that, like David and Daniel, out to other marketplaces. Once you establish your 6, 7, or 8 figure brand, then you move into additional marketplaces and continue to capture and build that up. Why? That's the intrinsic value of an exitable business. That's a saleable value. Think about like real estate. Brett, you own a home? Yep. I do. Yep. So it evolves every year into greater and greater potential of the time that you may or may not sell that and reclaim that, but it's growing every year in its asset class, right? It's growing. It continues. They only make so much land. They don't make any more. So land keeps becoming more valuable. You know, most homes become more valuable in time. And then we want to sell them, obviously, for a profit. We don't want to sell them at a loss. Your business is the same way. You need to treat it the same way. It's a virtual real estate marketing opportunity with a physical inventory, which personally I loved because I was in the digital space when I got going a long time ago. Lead generation, affiliate marketing, I was doing that. And then somebody said, you know, you should check out Amazon and physical products. And I'm like, well, not if it's eBay. Like, I don't want to be moving products out of my house. That's stupid. I'm doing digital. Why would I go do that? He said, no, you got to go check this out. There's a whole logistics system. And that was back in 2011. And I was like, okay, well, I can kind of see where this is going. I see the writing on the wall, right? I can kind of see how this is going to become an economic juggernaut. And really it has. It's become a huge juggernaut of online sales for most everybody who doesn't necessarily trust an ad on Facebook, right? Or they don't necessarily want to buy off of Google because they were info shopping. They weren't really product shopping. So we can talk about all that. You know, if you're an Amazon person already and you want to grow up and you like, you know, David or something, and you want to get bigger and didn't move into Shopify, we'll tell you how to do that, or TikTok. We're experiencing both of those platforms as we go on each other. And we can just find out some information based on the consulting. But if you're a good fit, and I do give you an invite to join, I'm putting $10,000 on the table that says we'll get to a certain metric within 12 months after revenue. I'm putting some skin in the game for those who feel like it's qualified. And if that's you, grab a spot, come have a chat with me, and let's find out where we go from there.
All right, very cool. Well, thank you, Neil. We'll get the link in the show notes. So anyone who's listening, watching, scroll down, you can click that link. And Neil, if you got a couple more minutes, I think I've got the questions down into a couple big categories here. One, is that cool? One is going to be for our Shopify store owners, and this may just be going through the Business Builders Incubator, but we do have a lot of Shopify store owners who are interested in Amazon and don't yet have that multi-channel approach going. So just from a really high level, what is your general practice methodology of walking somebody through that process of getting, hey, you've got the Shopify store, you've got your site, let's get you on Amazon. Let's get you maybe on the TikTok shops. Let's get you multi-channel going.
Yeah, we're going to go to Amazon first. We're going to take their product base and we're going to put it into our green light and we're going to find out where those products align in the current customer need intent on Amazon and either look at how their product fits into that or how they might have to adjust their product a little bit for the Amazon channel versus their DTC to match that customer need intent. And that might just be making a few small changes on the product at the manufacturing level so that when it's sent to Amazon, it meets that specific customer need and demand of Amazon, which could be slightly different than the DTC side of their Shopify. And then we'll determine profitability because obviously if they've got a product that is $29 on Shopify, that doesn't mean it's going to sell really well on Amazon. In fact, the $49 version of that might sell more on Amazon. So they may need to work with us to kind of elevate the development of that product to meet the green light criteria and put up the retail price point to make that become a viable thing. Once you stack up platform fees and you stack up cost of goods and you get your landed costs and stuff, we want to make it profitable. Very important. So it doesn't mean the product would necessarily work one-to-one, but the goal would make a opportunity to move the product into a position that does make it a great product for that market. So we'll go through that. We'll assess what the green light looks like. We'll determine which products and upside makes the most sense and then build a plan of action over the next 90 days to get those products in and launched. And if you've got existing, infrastructure, warehousing and stuff running on Shopify, that obviously moves very quickly than having to wait for product and production or having it shipped to some other location offshore back onshore, where if you have that onshore or you have it somewhere in route already, we can deter some of that product and move it into Amazon's warehouse and market test those first 5 products relatively fast. So for those of you who have a going concern on Shopify with decent products and revenue and profitability, it just moves faster for you to open that channel when you understand how to take advantage of it.
Very cool. And then as somebody's getting on Amazon, and I'll get you out of here on this one, Neil, I'm guessing from my experience, so our referrals that come our way from these AI engines and not really Amazon in our case, but as you mentioned, they all work similar, all the same. And ChatGPT is kind of the big one that we see in terms of referring traffic. So much so we had this dark matter last year of referrals that we didn't know where it was coming from initially. And then you see it's actually coming from these AI engines, which to me have been a lot more powerful and easier for, quote unquote, new business to break through than the SEO stuff. SEO stuff is kind of, very spammy, and whoever got there first kind of has this advantage where it seems like with AI, there is definitely more level of, if not intelligence, sophistication there in terms of the algos, and you can break through earlier as a new entrant. And I kind of reading between the lines, it seems like that's what you're seeing on Amazon, is that you can get initial traction as long as you're talking the language of Amazon.
That's as long as you are dialed in on the language, copy, customer intent, and need of that product, and have placed it in the proper location in Amazon to ensure that it's relevant, because some people miss that. It's very important. Then the AI engine is going to do what it does next. It's going to analyze that product information. It's even going to look at the videos and the images and say, do I understand what that is depicting? It actually reads that information and builds a narrative. You get the wrong narrative built into that system, and you've hurt your ranking going forward. And I don't think a lot of people understand it, as they're saying AI engines are going to now produce that in ChatGPT. It's going to take your information, your site, and your data, and then present it back into GTP. What if it gets it wrong? What if the narrative isn't right? What if it's positioning your brand wrong? What is it going to do? How is it going to determine that your brand and product rank on one Shopify store gets preference over another one that is currently being shown? Because they're not going to show all of them, are they? So what's going to happen? It is going to find the most customer intent relevant product or price point to that specific AI search, and then everybody else will be lost. They simply won't get an opportunity to be presented. So it isn't an opportunity for everybody. It's those who are most in line with the AI engine: copy, graphics, customer intent, product, images, and copy in their marketing, that basically get the AI to say, I know what you are, I understand your value, and I know what your core audience is, and then it will present it back properly. Get that wrong, and you won't see any of that benefit.
Neil, thanks so much. This has really been a whirlwind, but a lot of great information and very relevant in terms of 2025 and what's going on at the from the tariffs to the latest algorithms on Amazon, the AI engines, the opportunity. So it's really exciting time, and appreciate you taking all of this time to walk us through this. And as we get you out of here, can you give us the link, just audio one more time? We'll get the links, the physical links in the show notes, but where people can find you, follow you, and then apply for the business builders.
Yep. So you can go to asin360.com/talk to Neil. That's ASIN360.com/talk to Neil. And those will be in the show notes as well. And that will be a booking to have a conversation with me one-on-one. There'll be a couple of requirements when you hit that link to watch the presentation that explains the tactical aspect of how we go about this, and a disc assessment. If you're not familiar with that, the disc assessment you will bring to the call. And I specifically looking for a particular owner-operator type that has the right aptitude, upside potential, and understanding of the business format we're going after, so it meets my best profile of builders from the ones you've seen today. Because I can't help everybody. I'm not a couch. This is not a couching session on your feelings and emotions about how difficult business is. This is a business building exercise for the strong who need to understand who they are and where they're going and how they're going to get there, and maybe getting in the boat together makes sense. I just don't want us rowing in circles.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, for the strong, for our Afluencer people, also, you can reach out to me. I can get you in touch with Neil and his
Awesome.
team. Neil,
Awesome. Well, thank you for having the time today. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you again. This is awesome. Appreciate it.